What's up, everybody? Here on the Dark Conservatarian YouTube channel, we, or more specifically I, don't have a don't punch right policy unlike some other right-wing internet political commentators, and in this video I'm going to be so precise in my punching right that I'm going to respond to one of my main political inspirations that got me out of the unnuanced Rush Limbaugh camp of conservative republicanism and into thinking about things in a more nuanced constitutional base of thinking about politics and being able to criticize Republicans. That inspiration being Mark Reed Levin. So trust me when I say that I take no real pleasure in making this video. But one thing that really irritates me about Levin is his seeming animosity and borderline detest for libertarians. Before I get into responding, I just want to feature this piece of fan art by KattChatt she did of me as a dragon that I really liked. Check out her social medias, links in the description. Also, announcement at the end of this video, so stay tuned for that.
And all you Huntsman supporters, I'm very sorry. Your man dropped out. But how stupid were you to back him in the first place? If I may say, no offense, with all due respect.
Okay, just opening up, that is some pretentious douchebaggery right there, Mark Levin, and you aren't doing yourself any favors, absolutely none, by alienating people just for who they support. With all due respect.
Here we go. Dan, Rockville, Maryland, the great WMAL. You say you're a Ron Paul supporter. You're living in one of the bluest of blue states. It is a high-tax state, high-regulation state. They don't believe in individual sovereignty. They don't believe in free enterprise. So why do you live there? I'm just curious.
I work here for a job right now, and you're right. They don't have any economic freedom, and I'm all for economic freedom. I typically agree with most of the things you say about economic freedom.
So far, so good.
Mm-hmm.
It's the personal freedom that kind of makes it hypocritical. And one of those things is what I wanted to talk about, which is drugs. I heard you once say something about eating Big Macs and potato chips, and we have the freedom to put in our bodies what we want. And the fact is...
By the way, I don't stuff those in my ears so they affect the way my brain works.
Sure.
You get the point?
Yeah, just like alcohol.
So let me ask you that. I know, but we tried that already, didn't we?
Yeah, and currently we're trying the drug war, and look at how much of an expensive mess of a failure that is right there, and also incarcerating people for rather victimless crimes.
Well, and you know how many more people got killed in the years of Prohibition than ever have?
No, and by the way, who ran Iran in 1953?
Wait, what the fuck? Why? What the heck is with this deflection of subjects right here?
Who ran Iran in 1953?
I'm going down the talking points. Who was it?
Nothing to do with drugs.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, slow your jam and one subject at a time, Mark.
Unless we have prohibition on liquor, there shouldn't be prohibition on drugs.
No.
Hold on now. And because we don't have prohibition on liquor, we should legalize drugs. I have it pretty right?
That's a very small part of it.
All right, well, tell me the big part.
Okay, well, Portugal. They recently allowed legalization of drugs.
Portugal is a dying country, a dying society.
I really doubt that is solely because of drug legalization. Do you have any way to connect the downfall of Portugal to drug decriminalization, Mark?
It's kind of like Maryland.
Yeah, I agree. But the problem is less people are getting AIDS, there are cleaner needles, cleaner drugs, and less drug use. It's like a gun law. You can ban guns.
No, you can't. We have a Second Amendment.
That's not his point, Mark. He's talking about for if somebody was to propose banning guns. Stop derailing his arguments.
All right, how about this, my friend? Why don't we propose a constitutional amendment? Your side, your friends, you can write it. And let's see if the states want to adopt it. Let's see if Congress will pass it and the states want to adopt it.
I think that it's a states' right issue. And we talk about Obamacare being bad, and I agree.
Well, it's not purely a state. Hold on now. It's not purely a states' rights issue, because if I produce, say, a cocaine in one state and ship it across lines to another state, Ron Paul would tell you that's an interstate commerce issue.
And if we're to go off on a limb, taking a gun from Indiana, for example, and then shipping it across state lines to Illinois, let's say, is also an interstate commerce issue. But Illinois can still determine whether or not they want to officially allow that gun to be in that state. This doesn't negate what he's trying to say of it being a states' rights issue. They're both interconnected, yeah, but still.
So if drugs go from one state to another, is it an interstate commerce issue or not?
They can be regulated, but it's a personal liberty
Well,
choice.
but they can also be banned because the government bans certain things, interstate commerce. For instance, you can't have interstate commerce of people.
What the heck? We don't ban the interstate commerce of people because of its interstate commerce asset. We ban that kind of crap because it is human trafficking and invades on people's most essential personal liberty, that is to not be owned by other people.
Right, raw milk. That's so harmful, right? Let's ban raw milk.
No, I don't believe in banning raw milk because raw milk doesn't turn a pilot into a bombardier.
Okay, despite of how painful that I find Mark Levin's irritability to be right here, I can still kind of understand it because the Ron Paul supporter did kind of strawman him by implying that he is into banning raw milk, when raw milk wasn't even brought up at all. It was the interstate commerce of people, supposedly, of what he was mentioning.
In other words, he doesn't lose his senses with raw milk. He loses his lunch.
3 things. First of all, I don't want somebody to be piloting a plane if they are queasy or if they have their senses inhibited. Secondly, libertarians are not advocating for allowing people to just take whatever drugs they want, be it alcohol or weed, while they are piloting a plane or driving a car, for example. And thirdly, marijuana is found to inhibit people's senses less than alcohol, a drug that is decriminalized, whereas the former is mostly criminalized here in American society modern days.
No one's died from marijuana.
But a lot of families have been screwed up from marijuana.
Yeah, and a lot of those same things happen with alcohol too, as far as messing up families go. Whereas with marijuana, you might see the parents become lazy bums. With alcohol, you might see more likely that they are going to become abusive pieces of crap. Families are still messed up with overuse of either drugs.
Do you think a 16-year-old should have access to marijuana?
They should have the same access as they would to alcohol.
Why? You just wait a minute. Forget about alcohol. I'm asking you to invent the world.
Yeah, and he is trying to invent the world by making a mirror to alcohol laws. He's saying essentially that whatever age restrictions, if there are to be age restrictions, should be made the same for weed. In other words, somebody who has to wait until they're 21 and then suddenly they're allowed to drink alcohol, at that same age they should also be allowed to take in weed as well if they want to.
By the way, this is a great topic. The country's going to hell and you're trying to figure out why marijuana is not legal.
The thing is though, if we were to decriminalize weed and eradicate the drug war, we would save ourselves money by cutting spending by eliminating the drug war for one, and we would be creating a new revenue stream if we were to decriminalize weed. That is a booming industry that we could tap into, but yet we aren't doing that. We are just squandering it. And no, I am not talking about putting any special taxes on the mere usage or sale or purchase of drugs. I'm just talking about regular old sales taxes and income taxes.
Oh, but go right ahead.
I could talk economics too. In fact,
well, give it a shot then.
Oh, economics.
Well, talk about whatever you want to. Go ahead. I'm not going to try and influence.
Except for when you were bringing up the whole Iran issue out of left field earlier, Mark.
The government cannot compel us to enter into private sector contracts. What does that have to do with drugs?
They shouldn't be allowed to tell us what we can't purchase.
But the government tells us all the time.
That doesn't make it right, though.
The interstate commerce clauses, I believe, was set up to encourage
Yes,
commerce.
It's set up to encourage commerce, but on the other hand, it also empowers Congress in certain circumstances to prevent commerce.
Empowering Congress to act in some way doesn't mean mandating that Congress should act in some way. So my earlier point remains. That doesn't mean that they should ban weed. Show us the implication of where that the Commerce Clause says or even implies that there is something about weed that should be done legally.
Look, either you're a constitutionalist or you're not. You can't say, but I don't like it, so I interpret it my way.
I understand that there's a legal process to how government should work and legislation should pass, and in reference to accordance to the US Constitution especially, that politicians can't do whatever the heck they want in that regard. But that is exactly why we have a Supreme Court of the United States and a House of Representatives to repeal, overturn, and amend the law and possibly even the Constitution, despite how improbable that is. Especially when in this case it comes to our personal liberties, like taking drugs.
Well, do you believe it should be a crime to use a drug?
All right, you see how you've changed now?
What? No! That is exactly what he was trying to get down to the bottom of. That was exactly what he was making the main issue of his phone call to be, was about drugs, primarily marijuana.
No, I'm asking.
Hold on now. You compared it to Obamacare. I explained to you why you're wrong.
Not very comprehensively.
We talked about your world with the 16-year-old on drugs and booze, and the parents don't know, and the cops stop, and you say, that's his business. I mean, I just want people to understand how, not you, but how idiotic this gets.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that kids at least overindulging on both weed and booze is idiotic. Thus is why that the Ron Paul supporter was saying that it should be left up to the parents. So therefore, he wasn't advocating for that. And also would it be idiotic for us to continue the drug war and for us to be banning weed when it can be a possible boon to the American economy?
Why should it be banned?
Why should drugs be banned?
Exactly. Why? Tell me why.
Well, under the Interstate Commerce Clause,
You're not going to answer it, are you, Mark?
if the federal government doesn't want drugs moving from one place to another, and if from a law enforcement point of view, there's nothing in the Constitution that prevents it, is there?
I don't know, and quite frankly, I doubt that. Plus, I don't see as to why, if the Constitution says nothing against banning weed, why that means ethically that we should ban weed.
So then they should be able to
Why don't you just
salt.
answer my questions for once?
Well, they should be
All
able to
right,
ban
here's
salt.
my Constitution. Where's yours?
They should be able to ban salt in hamburgers, which you are against.
But they're not going to ban salt in hamburgers because
Well,
nobody wants to ban salt in hamburgers.
Yeah, and as it stands right now, nobody wants to ban weed either.
We're a representative republic.
There needs to be a standard.
No,
There's salt
you
freedom.
don't get it. Are you? Let me ask you this. Are you a pure individualist, or are you an individualist and a constitutionalist? Which are you? One or the other?
I'm an individualist and a constitutionalist.
No, you're not. You're an individualist and somewhat of an anarchist.
Yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit on that. And you know, it's hard to gauge of what this guy's actual beliefs are when it comes to constitutionalism and the like of when that Mark Levin wouldn't let the damn guy talk, for crying out loud. Like seriously, he just kept on interrupting and cutting him off. It was just getting, it was getting insufferable. No wonder why that the guy who originally uploaded this little clip right here decided to turn off comments and the rating system. Because apparently people were like speaking way too negatively of Mark. And almost rightly so, I would say too. And again, it's just a little thing that really irks me with Mark Levin. Like one time I actually heard him talking about Rand Paul and almost alienating the guy and acting like as if he was like Barack Obama for some reason, and how much that he was like just alienating and being vitriolic and having an animosity towards Rand Paul. Not having him on call, of course, but talking about Rand Paul as he was like in Congress at one point. And honestly, this is something that kind of makes me sick, is the conservative versus libertarian battles that happen here in the United States. Like, obviously the two groups are going to disagree with one another on a whole litany of issues, but sometimes they can just handle their disagreements just a little bit over the top. And I guess that's kind of why I call myself a conservatarian rather than a conservative or a libertarian, is to try to bridge the gap between conservatives and libertarians. This is just apparently one of the issues of where that conservatives and libertarians cannot get along with each other on, along with foreign policy and a few other issues as well. I mean, when it comes to like ANCAPs, that becomes an entirely different story right there. But just libertarians in general versus traditional conservatives, it just really gets to me. And maybe sometime I'll make a full-length video talking about the libertarian versus conservative wars that happen here in America, and as to why that the right cannot unite itself in a united front against the Democrats and the left. But for right now, that's all I have to say in response to Mark and in this video in general. If y'all want to see the full video itself, I will of course have it linked down below. Enjoy. Hello everybody, it's Zach, and I just wanted to have a few words before I sign out of this video. Again, this is KattChatt's fan art of me, and I'd like to thank her for that, and go ahead and check out her social medias. I have linked down in the description box below. And I just wanted to give a little FYI announcement, whatever you want to say to y'all, that if y'all have noticed the response video that Tim Horn has did to me, I do plan on responding to that in all eventuality. Probably will not get done at all in this year, but it will be done. It will be done sometime, just probably not anytime soon, as I intend to not let myself get too bogged down for the rest of this year in drama or anything like that, because this year has so far been shaping out to be a great year, and I intend to keep it up and not ruin it for the rest of this year. Certainly better than last year, and even I'd say it's better than 2017 even, which I thought 2017 was better than 2018, but yeah, definitely better than 2018 though. Plus, as you all know, the holidays are right around the corner, so that's a thing. And I know of how slow that I am with content on this channel, especially when it comes to response videos. I do at least have one response video that I do plan on getting to before the end of this year. It's going to be a response video to Progressive Voice when it comes to Jesus's communism, supposedly. But aside from that, I don't know what exactly is going to happen. I mean, I do plan on also releasing my best of 2019 compilation video, be it here on YouTube or on Bitchute. And yeah, also that's a thing, is YouTube changing its policies yet again as far as child protection or child privacy, whatever the heck that policy is about. It's probably going to be the biggest kick in the butt. And also the whole being advertiser viable, the advertiser viability thing when it comes to their new policy that they're instituting. It's all just going to be like a real kick in the butt towards everybody here on YouTube. And so I don't even know if I'm going to, I don't know for absolute certain if I'm going to continue on here on YouTube specifically, but I'll have a longer, more in-depth video talking about what I plan for the future as far as content creating goes. But for right now, for the rest of the year, it's likely going to be slow. Sorry that it has been slow as of recently, but like I warned, it's not going to get any better for the rest of this year. Oh, and also, speaking of Bitchute, check out my Bitchute account that I have linked down below. If you already have a Bitchute account, please go and subscribe to it. If you don't have a Bitchute account, I suggest that you do create a Bitchute account, because I'm not so sure of how much longer I'm going to last on YouTube. I'm not so sure of how much longer YouTube itself is going to last. But either way, it's probably a good idea to branch out anyways, just because of how YouTube has been handling itself within the recent 3 or 4 or 5 years, whatever number you want to put on it. But before I get too rambly on this video, I'm just gonna cut it right here. Y'all have a good night, and God bless, and talk to you later.